Hello and welcome. My name's Joseph from Raydiant, and welcome to our tech demo of our Raydiant aggregation device. So in this demo, what we'll be showing is how our services with this device will keep your business online regardless of outages or network performance problems, and also how this device can also boost your bandwidth using the network connections that you already have. So just a bit of housekeeping as well. This video will be quite raw when I'm not going to edit it or garnish it. I just want to be very clear with what the technology does and basically offer a proof of a promise. Now, I'm going to also go over the topology that we've got here, because this is actually my home setup. I have used this for the past 24 months or over 24 months now. And it's something that we've honed in and developed so now that it can keep your businesses online. And also, whilst we're on the topic of my home setup, we don't just have RADs, Raydiant aggregation devices, like this X1 here that you see on screen, but we also have rack mountable ones, which we have, and I will overlay over this video. So, cool. Now, here is the setup that I have. And this is the way that this technology works. Your network connections go into the RAD, which then go out to a router or to your firewall, or whichever way your business emits or basically presents network to the rest of your house, business, or whatever section you want your network to be. Right? So the way that it works from my house is we've got a Virgin Media line here, and then we've got a 3-network 4G router out of ISP2. So ISP1 is Virgin Media fiber, then ISP2 is 4G router. And then out of the orange cable goes both of the networks. They're both bonded, and they go to my TP-Link router, which then feeds the house. So my phone, my laptops, my security cameras, all of that. That is the topology, and that's how it works. So now I'm also going to show you and walk you through what you're seeing on screen here. Apologies. So on the left-hand side, you can see the Raydiant aggregation device monitor. This is telling us what bandwidth we're getting every second. Also tells you how many pings it's dropping. And that's quite self-explanatory there. Now on the right-hand side, we've got a graph. Now, I'm a very visual person. I'm sure there'll be quite a few people that are visual people as well and like to see exactly what the technology is doing and what the network is doing. So I'm going to explain it here. The blue line is the bonded network, meaning that's the output from our RAD. So that's the Virgin Media and the 4G connection all together. Now, the yellow line is the 4G router. That is telling you basically the bandwidth and how it's running, etc. The green line is then the Virgin Media connection. Now, what I'm going to do in this demo is I'm going to simulate outages. I'm going to simulate being cut off, a network cable being cut, maybe a physical failure to a router, maybe some kind of outage in the area. I'm going to simulate all of that by just unplugging the cables here. Cool. And I'm going to show you how it keeps you online. So without further ado, I'm going to unplug the Virgin Media connection now so you can see, and watch the blue line on the graph. Now immediately you can see on the Raydiant aggregation device that the bandwidth has dropped down to 100 meg. So we're solely using the 4G router at this point now. But now, if you look at the blue graph on the right-hand side, notice how the blue line does drop drastically because it's lost the speed of the fiber connection. But the 4G router is still keeping us online. And most importantly, there is no cutoff. There's no stop and then start. This is where we differ to failover. Traditional failover, even automatic failover, is very different because essentially you've got two separate lines and they are segregated even to how they get into your business. Meaning if one stops, then the other one comes in, which then means that you're paying for a backup, which very rarely gets any usage, but it's still costing you a lot of money without usage. And on top of that, you still technically have downtime. With Raydiant's OmniNet, you stay online because you're using both of them at the same time. And you're not just using both of them as in one as an immediate backup. Absolutely not. You're sending packets down all lines that you use all at the same time. It's actually really amazing. I have a script here and it's hard to stick to when you get excited about the technology that you have, you know, because this is the way networking should be. This is how your business should be networked. Okay. Now I'm going to plug the fiber connection back in and swap it over to the 4G router. And I apologize if I'm stretching a lot. These cables are quite rigid. And these are cables we supply with our packages as well, of our services. So just want to throw in there. And now we just have to wait a few seconds for the fiber to come back up. Oh, and there you go. We're back up. Happy days. Now, let's say, for example, 3 have an outage, which happens. All networks have outages here and there, you know. So we're now going to simulate that by just unplugging that too. Now, notice on the left-hand side, unplugging the 4G router has dropped our bandwidth from 580-ish to 480, meaning it was using the 4G router at the same time. It's still very much present. It's still very much usable at the same time as the fiber. And this is where you have your cake and eat it with our Raydiant aggregation device, because it's not just a question of reliability, it's also a question of performance. Imagine if you could use both of your broadband lines at the same time to give your business the performance and the reliability that it needs. You know, it's excellent. It really is excellent. And there's your proof. There is your proof. And as you can see on your graph, with the blue line on the right hand side, whilst your connections have been tangoing on which one's going to be a line, which one's not, OmniNet, which is the service that we use with the Raydiant aggregation device, based on the Raydiant aggregation device, the RAD, you're staying online. The blue line has kept you online. And that is Raydiant, basically in a nutshell. Now, with this technology, we offer various services, but they are very simple. So we have OmniNet, which is essentially you get a RAD like this, an X1 or an X1R, R meaning rack mountable. And the X1s that you can see here, they process bandwidth from all the way from 50 megabytes per second if you needed that, all the way up to a gig. But then the X1R can process bandwidth again from 50 megabytes per second if you wanted to. And we can bond connections all the way up to 5 gigabits per second. How great is that? So yeah, you can either do 50 megabits per second all the way up to 1 gigabits per second with the X1, or you can do 50 megabits to 5 gigabits per second. And with this technology, due to the way our core infrastructure is set up, you can actually have private encrypted connections via all of your sites with this plug and play connection. You just to let us know how many sites you want. And there you go, you've got omni-site, site-to-site connection. And then on top of that, the other package that we offer based on this technology is one called OmniMaster, where we give you these RADs to any sites that you need, and you, the controller, can access any site across Europe with instant, extremely low latency remote control, essentially meaning that there's actually zero lag, which is fantastic. And this is something that we are proud to present, and we boast a lot on, but we have the proof. And as you've seen, here it is. Now, if any of this is of interest to you, you have any questions or comments, we very much do welcome them. We reply to them, we see them. So yeah, if you have any questions in any way, shape or form, let us know. I sound like a parrot. But thank you for your time and take care.